Good afternoon. Thank you for the chance to address you all and speak to you this afternoon. My name is Steve Dickerson, and I won't rehash a lot of things David said, but I'm a practicing physician in town. I've lived in Tennessee now for about 20 years. My wife and I were in Florida, and we're finishing up my residency. The reason why we ended up here is because we looked around for the best place in the United States to raise a family and to start a business, and we decided it was Tennessee. The reason why I'm running for state senate is to pay that forward. I'd like Tennesseans for future generations and Americans for future generations to recognize Tennessee as the great state it is, great state for economic opportunity, a great state to raise a family. As a state senator, there are three things I'm going to focus on to that end. Number one, I'm going to focus on the jobs and economy. Obviously, that's the number one compelling issue right now. We need to make Tennessee the most job-friendly state in the United States. The Chamber of Commerce for the United States actually just named us the number one state for job growth in the United States. We can do better. We have to do better. We need to attract entrepreneurs from across the country to come here and start manufacturing. Just as importantly, though, we need to empower Tennesseans to start businesses of their own. The way you do this is twofold. First of all, you have a tax code that invites business growth, and you also have a regulatory environment. Tax code is pretty straightforward. What we need to do is promise, and I will promise you this, I will never vote for an income tax in Tennessee under any circumstances. Number two, we need to roll back the Hall tax. Hall tax is a form of an income tax on unearned income, and I think it actually keeps entrepreneurs out of the state. I think it's a job killer. And the third thing is we need to roll back the food tax. As you know, food is taxed in Tennessee about 5%. And the fact of the matter is, for everybody in this room, that's probably not all that significant. You don't have to budget for that, but I think that is a very regressive tax that hurts poor, middle class, the working Tennesseans that we need to be helping right now. If we do all that, if we get our tax code in line and then to get a regulatory environment, I think we're going to be in good shape. And what we do with the regulatory environment is do away with nuisance regulations. I will tell you this, I'm pro-clean water, I'm pro-clean air, I'm pro-safety for our workers. But what I'm adamantly opposed to, is nuisance regulations that kill jobs. We need to do away with those, and we can do that and still have an environment that's safe for our kids and safe for job growth in Tennessee. Second thing we're going to do as the state senator is we're going to focus on education. I don't think anybody in this room would tell you, and I think Farrell said it so eloquently, talking about the change in the people he's hired over the last several decades. Our public education system is not really cutting mustard right now. We need to do better. I think public education is the ticket to Tennessee's future. If we educate the Tennesseans of tomorrow, they can be good citizens, they can engage in voting, they can be constituents, as I believe you mentioned earlier, and can grow jobs. I think that's the way to pave the future for Tennessee's better days being in front of us. The way you do that is by introducing three things to our public school system I think it needs. First of all, you need to introduce choice, you need to introduce competition, you need to introduce accountability to our public school system. The way you do that with choice and competition, things like charter schools, things like school vouchers, things like school choice, I think will go a long way, probably take care of a significant part of our shortfall in public education. But then you have to also introduce accountability. That's something that I think probably gets lost in most bureaucracies. I'm an advocate for the students first, the parents second, and the teachers third. What I'm not an advocate for is the status quo. I don't think our public school system incentivizes people properly. I think our public school teachers in Tennessee are amongst the most dedicated public servants we have. But I think if we incentivize them properly, I think they'll do even better. The way you do that, first of all, you give them an incentive and a cash incentive. That's the way our economy works. To achieve better than expected. If their class improves over the course of an academic year better than expected, they should be rewarded for that. Secondly, great teachers tend to go to great schools. In Davidson County, we have MLK, Hume Fogger, great magnet schools. And so great teachers want to go there. I'd like to incentivize those teachers to go to the failing and the struggling schools. Again, you incentivize them through cash rewards. Get the great teachers to go to the marginal schools, then they will become good schools. And the third thing you do, if I can remember what it was, I was waxing so philosophic there, is you encourage teachers to teach what I think are the core subjects: English, math, and science. We need a populace that can communicate well. We need a populace that can add and subtract. And we need a populace that is savvy on scientific issues, things like computers, manufacturing. That is the future of Tennessee and of this district. We need to educate kids for tomorrow. The third thing I'm going to focus on is cutting down government waste. I will tell you, every politician that's run for the last 5,000 years has come out and said, I'm running against government waste. Lo and behold, we've got millions of dollars, billions of dollars, and I dare say on federal level, trillions of dollars that are wasted on an ongoing basis. And so we're not really making a lot of progress. So it's a bit of a hollow, argument that people make, because they hardly ever make any progress. But I'll tell you this, I'm committed every day of my 4-year term to fighting waste. I'm going to tell you 2 ways I'm going to do that. One is a little whimsical, one is very serious. Okay. It's February outside. Imagine about 4 months from now, it's really cold. You flip on the TV. Okay. This little penguin pops up. You remember what I'm talking about? It's the snowbird, right? And they got little snowflakes coming down. And the guy gets on and he says, we've got snow out there and only essential government personnel need to report to work today. Okay? My question is, why are we paying for non-essential government personnel to work the other 364 days a year? Okay? In all seriousness, if our state can get by without them for a couple of days, I would tell you, anyone that does not report as an essential member of our state government needs to justify their ongoing employment with the state on an annual basis. That was my whimsical part. I hope you all enjoyed that. On a more serious note, and a more practical note, and this is just a small down payment, that is the issue of per diems. As you may know, each state senator, each state house member gets about $170, $180 a day for expenses. That is to cover things like hotel, gas, food. And it adds up, depending on how long the legislative session goes, it can add up to $10,000, $15,000 a year. I'll tell you this, I will never take a per diem. I live 5 or 6 miles from the state capital. There's no reason why I would take money from the state for any purpose to cover my expenses, because it would be just fraudulent, in my opinion. Secondly, I will not take that money and give it to charity, because that doesn't save a penny for our state government. So I will never take the per diem. Add that up over the course of a state senate term, it's about $60,000. And I would tell you that is a small down payment, a tiny down payment about the waste I will find in our state government, and will help stamp out, I hope. So again, my name is Steve Dickerson. I want to tell you what I'm for business, and I'm for jobs. I've recently gotten the endorsement of the National Federation of Independent Businesses. And I just got yesterday the endorsement for the National Business Coalition. They recognize me as the pro-business candidate. Number 2, I'm for education. I'm an advocate for students. I'm an advocate for teachers. I'm an advocate for parents. I've been endorsed by Students First, which is a school reform group in the state of Tennessee. And the third thing, I'm opposed to government waste. Now, frankly, there are not a lot of endorsements. There are not a lot of people out there advocating for or against government waste. But I'll tell you this, who's going to endorse me? That is the taxpayers of Tennessee when I save you money over my 4 years. So I appreciate your vote. I appreciate your support. Thank you.
All right, now we're going to have Phillip North come up. He's a founding member of the law firm of North, Purcell & Rose. Went to Lipscomb University, graduated with honors from Pepperdine University School of Law, where he was the editor-in-chief of the Pepperdine Law Review. Also the president pro tempore of the Pepperdine University School of Law's Student Honor Corps, which is a mouthful, but I'm sure it was very illustrious. And he's also a lieutenant colonel in the Civil Air Patrol, U.S. Air Force Auxiliary, and a member of the A.M. Burton Society at Lipscomb University. So if you want to come up and tell us a bit more about yourself.
All right, everyone hear me okay? I am Phillip North, and I'm from this community. I grew up across the river in Needles Bend. I went to Needles Bend Elementary School, Needles Bend Junior High School, and I played football and ran track at Madison High School. And I went to college at David Lipscomb, where I had a history degree. And then I went to California for 3 years, and I went to Pepperdine's Law School. Being in California for 3 years was an education all in itself. And it taught me a lot besides the law. I've been in business here in Nashville for over 37 years. I've been an attorney here, and during that 37 years, my law practice has touched every aspect of our economy. And while I appreciate the healthcare people who are here running for office, the problems we're going to face in the next 4 years are far broader than just healthcare. They're far broader than just the delivery of healthcare. we have a lot of issues that are going to come up in other aspects of our economy that I think I'm uniquely qualified to handle. I'm a pilot. I'm a multi-engine instrument rated pilot. Learned how to fly in D. Ford Airport, East Nashville. And I understand the aviation industry. I understand their needs. I understand how vital they are to our economy. I understand the infrastructure we have to support our airports. I know the needs that we have there. But my practice has also touched the medical community. I've represented physicians in over 600 medical malpractice cases. Now, that's not just defending the physician's reputation. It's defending the small business. And so I have been involved in that. I've been involved in insurance, in real estate, in construction, in hospitality, and the music industry. So I feel like this broad business background is what we need in a person who's, in effect, going to be serving on the board of directors of the biggest company in the state. That person needs to understand a little bit about how the company operates. And I have doctorate level training in the Constitution. And I have a history degree. I know where the Constitution came from. And I know what failures in government created some of those constitutional provisions. I'm opposed to an income tax. I'll say that on the front end. But everybody is concerned about the economy. It's everybody's number one priority. And it will certainly be mine. But I think when we create jobs, we need somebody negotiating those agreements who will, on the front end, do something to benefit Tennessee. I believe by some true diverse negotiation or some prudent negotiation, we can require these companies that are working here in Tennessee and creating jobs to give those jobs to Tennesseans first. I was talking to a person in the construction business here about a month ago. He said that the state of Tennessee gave out a contract to build a bridge, and the contractor signed off and promptly goes to Georgia and brings 35 workers from Georgia to come in and do the work. Well, those are 35 people that aren't going to be paying taxes in Tennessee. They're not going to be buying property. They're not going to be buying cars. They're not going to be buying clothes in Tennessee. So I think that we need to take some steps to be sure that our tax dollars that we're trying to use to stimulate the economy stay in Tennessee. Some of the differences, I think, between myself and my party and the other party involved is that we believe that we can improve the economy and create jobs without dumping undue burden on our working class people. These people are hardworking, they're good Americans, they're patriotic, and we can improve the economy without sacrificing the rights and what is the welfare of our common working people. I think we need to work on some industrial jobs here. Just within a rifle shot of where we're standing, we've lost the Peterbilt plant. We lost the tire plant in Rivergate. When I was a child, at least half the people in my father's church worked shift work at DuPont. It was the biggest employer in the area, and it is no longer. So these are areas we need to create the jobs for blue-collar workers. Second priority, no secret, is education. I believe that public, free education, compulsory education, is the backbone of this democracy. Now, as far as waste is concerned, I'm going to accept the per diem from the state if I get this job. And I don't think there's anything fraudulent or immoral about it. Every senator that goes up there to serve has expenses that run on, and you're not able to go to your regular job and create the revenues to cover those expenses. But I'm planning to not keep that money. The Senate salary is a little less than $20,000, and then the per diem is on top of that. And what I plan to do is to take that money and to distribute it to our school system, our public school system here in Nashville, to some schools that need money. Maybe they need another teacher, maybe they need a tutoring program, maybe they need a Head Start program, maybe they just need some computers. But I'm going to donate that money to education. I believe we can improve education without demoralizing our teachers. We've had double the number of teacher resignations this year than we had last year. The teachers have endorsed me as the candidate for Senate. And I think we can improve education without demoralizing and discouraging the teachers. I think probably the biggest difference between Mr. Dickerson and myself is who's going to be making the decisions about the improvements in On September the 18th, an article came out in the city paper where candidate Dickerson said he would come down in favor of local autonomy. The local school board needs to be making those decisions. 2 days later, he came out in favor of a $3.4 million sanction against the local school board for what's termed a violation of the law because they didn't approve Great Hearts charter school. In my opinion, that's not the way to move education forward, to take $3.4 million away from our children. They can say, oh, we're only taking it from the administrative people. Well, who is that? Bus drivers, people who maintain buildings, the supervisors that make sure there is a teacher in their classroom every day. To think that's not going to hurt our school system, I believe is not realistic. Then he supported that sanction which was issued by the state against the local school board, a complete flip-flop in position. The other thing that troubles me about that is he followed the rhetoric of his party's leader that this was somehow a violation of the law because they didn't do what they were told. They didn't approve this charter school. So I investigated that. I have a letter right here from the commissioner of the Board of Education. This letter does not order the local board to approve this charter school. It doesn't. In lawyer terms, it remands the matter back to the local school board for further hearings to determine if this charter school company could give assurances that they were going to have a racial diversity plan. They were going to assure that that school had racial diversity and economic diversity. When it came back down to the local school board, they found that the school could not meet that requirement. And so they disapproved the school. That was not a violation of the law. And the state board did it. I had someone go listen to the tapes and hearings. And what appears to be the voice of the lawyer for the State Board of Education tells the entire panel that if you send this letter worded this way back to the Metro School Board, they will have the discretion to deny the charter if they don't meet this contingency that there's a diversity plan for this charter school. That's exactly what happened. But their lawyer told them they were leaving that to the local school board. But the commissioner comes out and says that the school board violated the law and withholds $3.4 million from the Metro school system. I submit that's not the way to move education forward. And if that's not corrected by January when I take office, that's going to be my first priority, is to get that $3 million back to the national school system. Another difference, I believe that agricultural business, we have to have a welcoming environment for people to come to Tennessee to set up their businesses. But another priority would be individual rights. We have to protect the privacy and the individual rights of our citizens. I've always been, since I came back from California, how many times?
About 30 seconds.
Okay. I went to California at the time when it was women's movement. And I was surprised when I walked in my first class and half my class were women. Today, I've got 3 daughters, all headed to professional levels. And I will continue to be an advocate for the rights of women, because I want my daughters to have an equal shot in this economy. My practice has been in conflict resolution. I resolve conflicts on problem solving. I would like to bring a common sense approach. Went off. I'd like to bring a common sense approach, bring some stability to the process, and use the experience I have in 37 years of resolving conflicts to help the legislature move our goals forward.